As part of the 70th anniversary celebrations of KNUST, Life School presents a special series with KNUST alumni to learn from their life experiences and share their special fun moments from Tech Campus. Join us to share our fun moments and learn from each other. Life School, sharing skills and lessons for life.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Life School series. I'm Daphne, and today my special guest happens to be the head of engineering for Stanbic Bank, Mr. Eric Yao Insakun. Sir, thank you so much for making the time for us.
Most welcome.
Can you please tell us a little about yourself in a professional sense?
So my journey is a simple one. I started as a chemical engineer. I trained in KNUST as it's called today, UST as it was called then.
Right.
And it was in the famous province of Katanga.
Oh, this should be true.
And I went to Valco after that for national service.
Right.
And then I went to the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission for my first job after national service. So
Which was?
At Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, I was what they call a reactor engineer. So we installed the first nuclear reactor for Ghana, and that was a big assignment.
Seriously?
We are very proud of that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this.
Neutron activation analysis, advanced chemistry, analysis of chemical compounds. We did it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see.
I hope it's still there. I haven't entered atomic energy since I left.
I think we need to find out.
Yeah. But it wasn't a big, it was 30 megawatts if I remember right, but I'm not too sure
I see.
in terms of, anyway,
Okay.
the parameters were 30 years ago. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
So, but while I was there, in those days, there was no postgraduate evening offering, part-time classes and all that. So while I was there, I started to do the Masters in Business Administration.
Okay.
And I was offered the management science option, as they called it. I hated it with passion.
What was it about?
Good question. I had no idea what it was about.
Hated it.
I mean, so I couldn't get it. I couldn't
grasp
understand
it.
why you wanted to do management science as an option, whether it meant you wanted to be a manager or a managing director. I wasn't sure what it
Right.
meant. So I went to the coordinator one day and I said, I just want to stop because
Okay.
this is not what I wanted. Or I could do finance or something else. But so then he said to me, management information systems is coming up. But I'd gotten introduced to computers in Valco. I started working with technology, and I was really, kind of keen on following that up. So once they said management information systems, I put my name down, even though it was very risky at the time.
How so?
There were no faculty who could teach it. So the European Union had promised a contract to the government of Ghana. There was a memorandum of understanding that they would provide the Free University of Brussels as the technical resource or partner in the project.
Okay.
But all this had not been signed. It was just at best a gentleman's agreement at the time.
Right.
So I said I was interested, and they said, okay, fine, put your name down. And when I put my name down, you know how it goes in Ghana. I put my name down, 4 more people put their names down.
Yes.
And then, it was, from then on, it came on. Basically, the assignment came on. We went to Brussels. So I resigned from the Atomic Energy Commission to go to Brussels. And then we became the first batch of MIS. And they wanted 10 people, they got 5.
Wow.
But all of them didn't really follow through as MIS people.
Okay.
But I had a great passion for the field, and that's why I'm still there.
Okay.
The question was my professional journey. It's a long one.
Yes. We are interested in that. Journey.
Okay, because I from there went to Pricewaterhouse, which used to be down the street from here, and then I worked as a management consultant, worked for Ministry of Finance, big projects. It was quite interesting, public sector commission and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And then we moved on to KPMG, which was the best time of my life, KPMG.
Wow.
Because some of the friends from KPMG, Ocean Team, Solomon Date, Jocelyn Boateng, they're still my friends, very good friends. And our boss, Yoku Kos, a great guy. He came here, he sat down with us a few weeks ago, encouraged us. So he's a great guy. And I did 14 consulting assignments in 15 months.
Wow.
I was there for only 15 months. But from KPMG, I went to British American Tobacco, then Ghana Breweries, then they took me to Heineken I lived in Holland for 5 years. And then I came back, I worked for, under the DFID, the donor agency, the British donor agency. I worked under them for the Kufuor government. Yeah, and we did the evidence-based policy monitoring project, which created a dashboard that monitored the 21 priorities of Kufuor. So that was a big profile assignment. Yeah.
Project, okay.
Yeah. So emergency power, national youth employment, school feeding, West
all these
Africa gas
programs.
pipeline. We were monitoring them. I still have the tools for those things, if any government is interested. But
Right.
yeah, from there
Okay.
I went to telecoms.
Okay.
I started at an internet service provider, which I managed for a few months, called Discoverytel. And then I went to Tigo as chief information officer, then
Okay.
Airtel as chief information officer. Then I went into academia. I went and I taught I taught in 3 universities for 13 months.
Okay. You lectured.
I lectured. I lectured in software
Okay.
engineering at Ashesi.
Okay.
I lectured in e-commerce at Kimpa.
Okay.
And then I lectured in everything software engineering at the Accra Institute of Technology. Software process and methods, software requirements engineering, software testing, software quality. I taught a lot of those things. And then I moved to, from there, where did I go? I think I went to lecture before I went to Airtel. I think now I remember.
Okay.
But from Airtel, I went to MTN.
MTN.
And then I took off the technical hat. So at MTN, I became a salesman.
Okay.
And I created what they call the business solutions. I was the first head of MTN Business Solutions.
Okay.
So the business solutions was like, they were selling wholesale internet capacity, cloud hosting, data centers,
Right.
the things that were ICT related,
Okay.
but were, at the time, not service offerings in the market. Only Vodafone could do that at that time.
Oh.
So we created the MTN line, which became a formidable business, what is today MTN Business.
Right.
And I believe that MTN's success subsequently was because of that assignment.
Wow.
Because at that time I was able to put on the 2 hats, technical and commercial,
Commercial.
and fix the MTN network.
Okay.
So we brought in Andrew Aite Okobole, who's the head of IP networks at MTN.
Okay.
Yeah, under Michael Ikpoki as CEO, we brought Aite Bule in, and he fixed, for technical people, they know what I mean. He fixed the
I'm
internet
sure,
protocol.
yes.
To send data, to access the internet, you are normally speaking in a language called TCP/IP, and he fixed that infrastructure.
Okay.
So once the IP networks were fixed, MTN was ready to take over.
Wow.
And then they gave me the sales and distribution of MTN, and we created mobile money, we created the smartphones, we created a talent pipeline, we changed the business from phone calls to, data and mobile money, and then we took out the scratch card.
Okay.
So we did the big pillars of the assignments in telecoms, and that redefined the telecom landscape.
Right.
And today we have the platform we call MTN. And then I went into banking. Banking was the unfortunate victim of everything we did.
Oh, I
By the
know,
time I got
right?
to banking, there was a concept.
So were you going there to fix things or?
Well, we created an opportunity for ourselves, which
Ah.
allowed us to join the men in black coats. The culture of banking is not my culture. I'm not a banker
Right.
to save my life. But we've gone there, we've tried to, learn what they do, but it's what's happening in banking is not impressive. Like
Oh,
today.
how so?
Well, how many people do the banking industry serve? Like, at the end of the day, the income generating people in the banking sector, customers, I mean,
Right.
are probably less than 1,000.
I see.
When I say income generating, because a lot of people pass their salaries through banks, and a lot of people maybe have a pension that is somewhere within the portfolio of a bank.
Okay.
But there are just a few people in the banking setup. Our work is to try to get banks to partner with the telecom infrastructure, with the fintech infrastructure, and so on, and make it something more interesting.
Okay.
But today's banking is very concentrated around what they lend to government, treasury bills,
Okay.
and they call it the global markets portfolio. They call it many fancy names, and they have the investment bankers, corporate finance people. But this is not a big economy where there are a lot of mergers and acquisitions and so on too. And it's an unfortunate testimony that today the economy is in crisis, but you don't hear much about the research of Ghanaian banks. You hear more of Bloomberg research, Financial Times research, and so on and so forth. So I mean, if you ask me, banking is in some kind of a crisis, right? But that's our opportunity. That's what we did for 10 years, and now we have to go and try to. But yeah, there's a lot of a future beyond that. Beyond that, I'm also looking at entrepreneurial stuff, moving into my own space. I'm 52,
Okay.
in case you didn't guess that.
Wow, I did
Yeah,
not.
you did not guess that.
I did not.
Okay. So
Okay.
by Ghanaian law, in 8 years' time, I'm
You're
on
meant to
retirement.
retire.
But very few people in corporate went to the full hog. Right?
Okay.
Some of the great names in corporate retired at 52, 55. So this
So
is
that's
my
the
time.
dream. Retire early.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So, Mr. Ansakun, you've lectured about the subject of e-commerce. We want to find out, maybe in a layman's perspective, what is e-commerce?
So e-commerce is commerce in the digital channel, pretty much. So buying, selling, transacting, paying, delivering
Right.
in a digital channel will qualify you as a person doing e-commerce.
Right.
So
And the digital channel, that's online.
so online,
Basically,
but you
okay.
could also, and I mean, for whatever it's worth, you can even do a phone call.
Oh, that qualifies as e-commerce.
That qualifies. A lot of the time, you can place an
I see.
order by phone.
Oh,
In some parts of the world, you can do that. Interestingly, we are more advanced.
In the phone call
we
delivery
like bypassing
sector.
the basics, but
Okay.
it doesn't have to be too complicated.
Okay.
E-commerce, yeah, I mean, orders by phone are common in many parts of the world.
Right.
So, in that sense, I think it is our big opportunity in Ghana
Okay.
because if you go to Agbobloshi,
Right.
the place is full. I think that's a big thing.
I know, right?
Right, and then Mokola is full,
Everything is
right?
there.
Yeah, Mokola is full.
Yes.
The shops are finished.
Yes.
So, what do we do? Right now, the roads are also full. Everybody's heading to Mokola or
Yes.
Agbobloshi.
The traffic is
And
terrible.
some are coming from Amanfrom, they are coming from,
Yes.
So there's something wrong with the way we live. And that's a problem that becomes an opportunity for e-commerce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see that, for example, I'm wearing Brono. And
Right.
Brono, you
Oh,
understand the word? Brono.
Can we straighten that out? Okay. But
Yeah.
please, can you tell us more?
Brono, what's your say?
Okay.
Okay.
But you can say.
Okay, because Brono is your locality. So the Gans will say Kuchuemi.
Ah, okay.
And the Dutch will say your butte, your little
Your
space.
little niche, your
Yeah,
little-
neighbors, a few things. That's your Brono.
But Bruno. Okay, Bruno.
So the idea of Brono is that because as Ghanaians, all we do is trade.
Yes.
I mean, I hazard to say everybody is selling something.
Yes, we all buying or selling.
Especially in the days of WhatsApp, it's on the status.
I know,
It's
right? How
somewhere.
much for this?
How much for this? People take it from this status, flog it on this one, and so on and so
yes,
forth.
true.
So we are saying this is a platform
Okay.
where all sellers of these little items. So we estimate that this is about 8 million people plus, because we got these numbers
Right,
from official
right.
sources too, which we can attest to, Ghana Union of
Okay.
Traders and so on. But all these people we start to register because we have the partners with whom we built mobile money.
Okay.
I told you already I was head of sales at MTN for
Right.
8 years.
Right.
So we have partners, and we bring them on board.
Okay.
We register these people,
Okay.
and then in every locality, the other data that I had at MTN was that Ghana had 44,000 settlements.
You don't say.
Yes, including 100 people in a farm place somewhere. They're also a
Look
settlement.
at that.
So I used to review that data every Thursday
Wow.
to see
okay.
that you had network coverage, you had all these things. But anyway, so Brono wants to bring together those people in the settlements
Okay.
and the traders in the settlements, and then create this interlock where if you want Nescafe, you want mosquito coil, you want whatever, you go on Brono, you say so,
Okay.
and then the person around you puts a bid in to say, I can give it to you at 2 cities. Now the skin case 3 cities.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like marketing, the regular markets, but online.
But online.
I see.
So the lifestyle of Ghanaians being copied and pasted online.
I like that. Yeah, I like.
So
I
that
like
you can
that
scale it.
explanation.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can scale it.
Bruno.
Brono.
Okay.
Brono. You speak Ghana?
Few.
Few. Kuchuemi. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So bridging that gap, helping even the lay trader
Yeah.
to come online. So I'm hazarding a guess. So Brono is a business and an app.
Indeed. Nowadays, an app and a business.
Everything's an app. Jumia is an app. Okay.
Exactly.
I get it. So once you
Have
download
you
the
taken
app,
Trotro before?
I tell you.
Okay. So you see in
Segundo
Trotro,
Cane,
you notice
Segundo.
people are following.
Yes.
You know, there are some ladies.
Right.
Excuse my bias, but they check the price of the egg, the price of the oil,
I know, right?
the hairpiece, but they don't buy anything.
Yes.
From Medina to Accra, they talk to every trader, but they don't buy anything.
Yes.
So the trader is frustrated, right? So Bruno solves that problem as well, because now when you say to the trader, bring Nescafe, you pay the money to Bruno.
Okay, and the trader knows you are actually buying. You're not window shopping.
You're not wasting my time. Because now the trader has to get up from his shop and walk to your house to give you the Nescafe.
Okay.
We don't want this trotro behavior.
Wow.
So that solves that problem, right?
Very resourceful. That's very.
But the other side of it is also somebody I know bought a phone at Teco. Can you imagine? In a
Of all
box.
places. Oh my God.
Guess what he found at home? A stone.
No end well.
It was a stone. It was a clear stone. But of course, the person he bought it from was not there. So that Bruno also takes care of that.
Okay.
Because it's only when you deliver to me,
And I see and check the goods.
I check that I will confirm and you get your money.
Right.
So you see
So
that
no
we've
fraudulent
solved
activity.
exactly.
Okay.
We've solved delivery
This is good. Yes.
by putting you in the Bruno.
Right.
We've solved secure payment. And then lastly, we don't know our prices in this country, do we?
Not really.
I just told you Kenke was 3 cedis,
Yes.
but that's airport price.
Yes.
You can go to Amanfrom and you will get
4 cities somewhere.
Thank you.
And funny enough, one city 50 pesos somewhere else.
Exactly. So Bruno came up because I have a good friend. He will not be offended that I mentioned his name. Kabot. I was in MTN and I said they should go and give Kabot a free website. I'll pay on my budget.
Wow.
And Kabot called me the next day and he said, hey, Eric, I will not take it.
Why not?
I said, Kabot, what have I done to you? You cannot hate me that much. And he said, look, this thing of putting my price online for my next shop to go and put a lower price,
A competitor. Oh,
I will not do it.
okay.
So Bruno solves that too. Because what you are bidding to me,
Yes.
you are not putting it in a catalog.
Yes.
So this is uniquely created for the African mindset.
Yes. This is actually.
And that is
quite-
why, this is exactly how we did it when we used to do mobile
Yes.
money. I used to do a fit to market every Thursday
I see.
to make sure that there's new functionality in place.
Okay.
So I hope that kind of nails it for
Yes.
the e-commerce
Bruno is
sector.
going to the market
Yeah.
online. I mean, who doesn't want to do everything online?
Exactly.
these
Amazon
days?
and so on are straightforward. You know,
Wow.
that's straightforward. That's like,
That is brilliant.
yeah,
Ingenious.
yeah.
Well done, sir. So, sir, please tell us a little about your family life.
So we are 2 boys who are the children of the late Abna Joannan. Our mother was a lecturer in home science at the University of Ghana,
Right.
and she stayed there for a long time. Then she went to the University of Swaziland, and so that's me and Yao.
Okay.
But my dad
Wow, as in.
in Sako.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Your brothers.
My
okay.
brother. That's the only other son of my mother.
Okay.
But there are 2 dimensions of that. My dad had other kids.
Right.
So in number 31, Little Legon, which was our known residence,
Oh, okay.
there were 4 of us who lived there when I was growing up in the 70s.
Okay.
And that's Frank Maxwell. Maxwell passed away last year.
Oh,
So it's Frank Maxwell.
condolences.
Thank you. Frank Maxwell, Yao, and I.
Right.
My dad had other kids also who lived in the Ashanti region in Obuasi.
Okay.
Ambrose, Fred. So in all, my dad had 8 kids.
Okay.
But there were 4 of us who lived in number 31.
Okay.
And then my mother looked after nephews, so my cousins.
Okay.
And there was also one niece, Ajwa, who's a doctor. She looked after Ajwa looked after all of us, even though she's the youngest who ever came to number 31.
Yes.
But the nephews also, Lawrence, he passed away 4 years ago. Then there's Kwabena, then there's Kwame in the UK, in the US. And number 31 was a place where, when I put the picture on social media, people ask how big was the house,
Family house.
because how many people could live in a 3-bedroom house? But it was never full. It was
Wow.
you could just convert anything into a room and continue expanding it. So
I see.
So yeah, that's the space that we operated in. I have 2 daughters, and
okay.
Anea and Nanaba.
Wow. Okay.
Anea is 21.
Right.
She's second year, now going into third year actually,
Oh, okay. That's good.
at the University of Guelph in
Where is
Canada.
that? Canada.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. And Nanaba is at GIS, Ghana International School.
Okay.
She's going into year 10 for Form 4.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so from that point of view, I think that actually kind of nails it for
Sums
family.
it up.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Nice. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what is the one special thing about you? I'm sure your daughters know this. So we would also like to know what's the one special thing about you that not many people know?
So the interesting thing about me is my special moment. I was a salesman, so I traveled the country.
Right.
And therefore, traveling and a lot of things people do for excitement
Okay.
are not, they're commonplace. So my special moment is actually singing loud
Karaoke?
to myself. No.
To yourself?
It is not competitive material.
You like to sing?
I like to sing in the shower, in the kitchen, everywhere.
Okay.
And then with a little pocky bag.
How do the two go together?
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Oh, is that the microphone?
It's a miracle.
Wow,
You just have to.
okay.
But yeah, I like those little pleasures.
Okay.
Every now and then, if I can find a bicycle, I jump on it. But that's for
Oh,
short
okay.
distances.
Okay.
It's not for, when we're kids, we raced on bikes and so on. So,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, the basics of life mean a lot to me.
Okay.
I like beaches. Nowadays, you don't have a beach in Accra that's not polluted. So sometimes I'm able to sit at the Africa restaurant of La Palma and overlook the beach.
But
The
not
amount of
all.
marijuana you have to smoke. Number of people whose
No more long walks on the beach for you.
weed is being blown over
Oh my
you
gosh.
is a bit too much. And so yeah, I used to be able to read a bit. I don't get to do enough of that. This is my dad's one of his first books.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sadly, I have to say I haven't really read it.
Oh.
But
I'm sure you'll find the time one of these days.
I mean, local government is a complicated topic.
I know, right?
My dad never.
So you love to read as well?
Yeah, I mean,
That's good.
when I can. So interestingly, I used to read a lot.
Oh, okay.
Fiction too, I read a lot of Arthur Haley, Sidney Sheldon,
Oh.
Jeffrey Archer, John Grisham,
Any Agatha Christie? It seems you like
That was
mysteries and-
terrible. I mean, I used to
Were
think.
those really?
Yeah, because there was that guy, what's his name again? Like at the end of the whole thing,
The butler did it.
then some guy comes and
The most
he can figure out the whole
unassuming
mystery on the last page,
I think they were a little, I don't know, maybe a
Yeah.
little cheesy, but that was the beauty of it.
I thought, I'd rather do Hardy Boys or something.
Or Nancy Drew, at least.
Yeah, Nancy Drew I didn't too like either, but
Was it because it was a girl? Was it two girls?
probably at that age, because Hardy Boys
Yeah,
was
Hardy Boys
like,
was more. Okay.
yeah, age 8, 9. I read all of them, but
Oh, that's nice.
then of course I read some serious stuff too. I mean, I used to read business literature,
Right.
strategy books, Hammer and Prowler, Peter Senge,
Okay.
Peter Drucker, I read some serious stuff too, but I read the Communist Manifesto.
You did?
I did. Hey,
Okay, I'm not even going to ask about that.
well, workers of this world unite.
Whoa.
The proletariat has nothing to lose but their chains. We read all of that. Yeah.
Any Shakespeare? It's like
Oh
you're
yeah, I did that
performing
for
right now.
literature. I did that for literature. And like Romeo and Juliet was my yeah.
What's your favorite?
Oh, it was my literature book, and I really loved the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I read any Romeo and Juliet for fun, but I loved it in literature.
Did you like Macbeth?
I've heard the story. I haven't read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So reading, yes, widely read. That's.
But then I think when I started, let's call it the Heineken years or the telecom years, somewhere in there, I noticed I wasn't reading anymore.
Oh.
I was very exhausted. I had an energetic toddler. And life was
When
not
she
easy.
sleeps, you sleep.
Hey, it wasn't easy. But so I lost some years when the kids were growing up. At that time, if I was free, I would sleep. Or I would go somewhere, just go network or something.
Right.
So I lost it. But when I went to lecture, then I caught up
Okay.
because I had to read for lectures, I had
notes
to
and
do research, I started writing again. And I think that's the best thing that happened to me, actually. I started to read a lot, and I felt really caught up at that time. Subsequently, I started the MTN years, and MTN was a mad sprint, I tell you. It was, so
I can imagine.
that was tough, but so I didn't do much reading in the MTN years. Now I'm beginning to. Now I'm running a YouTube channel and
Still no
posting
time.
on social media, but it's giving me content. You get it? Like I Kindle samples, I check what's going on.
Right.
In conversations like this, I learn a lot. So it's imbibing a bit more than previously.
Right.
Yeah,
Most interesting. Singing,
Exactly.
reading, riding a bike,
all of that.
writing.
I write a lot. I write a lot. I
there
have
we go.
so this Bruno concept. I wish I had the file here, but I have a file that has a writing competition entry that I filed when I was 23.
Okay.
In fact, three entries, and in one of them I talked about something I called a front for meaningful liberation in South Africa, which was supposed to look at the communities, their profiles, and look for which productive endeavors they could undertake
Okay.
in terms of small-scale manufacturing, farming, and so on and so forth, and form so a front for meaningful liberation, something like that. And then I also thought about the same for Ghana, and I called it the African Development Foundation or something like that. I forgot.
Right.
But those two things I submitted when I was 23 for a writing competition. I didn't win. So they posted everything back to me. In those days, you had to handwrite everything. So you draft it in a book and then you handwrite it. And I sent everything and they posted it back.
What did that mean? It
When
was
they post
read,
it back to
but
you, it's
not-
like, we are feeling for you. After writing all this,
Oh, wow.
you didn't win. We didn't give you anything. So at least keep it so that you can go and give it to another person in another competition.
I see.
Because those days, photocopies were expensive, I tell you.
Right.
So you send some of these things, you don't have a copy. You have only the draft.
Okay.
So they sent it back to me, which I'm very thankful for.
Grateful, yes.
Because I'll send you the link. I've scanned it online now.
Oh,
And
so there are articles online now.
so I haven't posted it to the public,
Oh, okay.
but I'll send it to you.
Right.
Because
We'll appreciate
I
that.
like, right, I was editor-in-chief of the Katanga magazine, Cat Tribune,
Oh, really?
under military rule, can you
I
imagine?
see.
Yeah. So I used to write letters to the Free Press,
Okay.
on behalf of, when we were young, there was a lady called Vida Ofori, who was shot by military goons in Legon.
Oh, dear.
Fortunately, she survived. But I remember writing a letter to the Free Press, which I was afraid my father would see. So I wrote, I signed as editor-in-chief, Cat Tribune.
No, but your name was not.
My name was not there. My father was a very courageous man, but he did not encourage courage.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, he himself was very courageous.
He did not encourage
Courage.
courage. I see.
Yeah. So indeed, I mean,
Wow.
I've written many things.
Wow. So, sir, what special mindsets and behaviors have supported you to become this successful in life and career?
First of all, I pray you are right that I'm successful.
You are.
I've done my best.
Yes. Inshallah.
Thank you.
Everyone says that.
The only thing I can do, I'm a storyteller.
Right.
And one of the things that my father told me when I was, in my time we wrote what we called common entrance
Yes.
to get from primary school into secondary school.
Right.
And you wrote it when you were very young. So I wrote common entrance in March 1981. So I was only 10. And, people just, every day they said, if you oversleep on that day, you're a fool. Because you have to be lined up in front of the hall by 6:30, you have to, so
dear.
now at about 3 a.m. I was up.
Oh, okay. You are an
And then-
early riser.
No, because that day I was anxious.
Oh, because of
Everybody had
okay,
said
okay.
you might oversleep on
So
the common
you're like,
entrance day.
okay.
So I don't know what time it was, but I know that it was
It was early.
very early. And then I opened my father's door, and he said, "What's the problem?" And I said, "Well, I mean, I'm up. I don't want to be late for the common entrance." So he said, "Come." And he took out his Methodist prayer book. My father had the canticles. He would read through the canticles as his prayer, routine. So he read through, then he read a psalm, and then he said a prayer.
Okay.
And when he finished, he said, "You can only do your best. So go and sleep. And God will do the rest.
Right.
So I don't expect anything of you."
Right.
So I think that has been my mindset. My children will tell you that academic pressure for me to come and say, "You failed and you don't deserve my name." I don't do it. Because my father said, "You can only do your best."
Right.
But the best continued to be enough. And sometimes it became excellent. And I was happy with whatever outcome there was. I'm a person of faith. When I was in Belgium on my student war was Colossians chapter something, but all it said was that in all things, do all things as though you were praising the Lord and not men, or something like that.
As if you are doing it unto the Lord and not unto men.
Yes. You know the verse, right?
Yes.
I'm very poor at memorizing scripture, but I always know what I'm,
Right?
yeah.
When it matters, the
Yes,
memories.
exactly. So, but it was on my, I think, 3:28 or something, Colossians, something like that. But
Oh.
it was, and that is my guiding mantra, that I try to put in my best. So these things that have happened, mobile money, Bruno,
Right.
etc., were never from, like I said, as a teenager, I put down something that I thought was a vision, but it was never from a deliberate effort to say my life is a project plan.
Okay.
And if by this time I need to do this, my former boss told me, put down some milestones. So I did. And I tried to live by those milestones,
Right.
which included at the time, as a young man, 27 years old, my first milestone was to buy a car.
Very
And
important.
it was all there, but it was God who did it. I had nothing. I have many stories. I tell you.
Right.
On a day when you have time, you can stop
We'll
by.
come back.
We will tell you about many stories. But
Right.
I didn't set out with a mindset that said, "I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that." No.
Okay. So you do your best, you leave God to do the rest. Very interesting and profound. All right. How would you advise a young graduate who comes to you, maybe for professional or career advice? What would you tell the person?
It's interesting at the moment in this economy, right?
Right.
But I still believe that the way forward is innovation. So a young graduate who comes to me today, I would say that the marketing of digital content, the creation of content, the creation of the regime around software engineering, which is programming, legal stuff, psychology of users, sociology of communities,
Right.
these types of things. Because every field has the digital side.
Right.
And our
We
part
can't
of
seem
the
to do away with that.
we
Yes.
don't seem to leverage it in this part of the world.
Oh. Sad.
You want to patent something, and people tell you, senior people who have done stuff in intellectual property will tell you that, oh, developing countries, we are there to share. We don't protect our intellectual property. I don't want to get into problems with big men like, Shatawale and so on and so forth. But sometimes I wonder, how is Benaboy able to tweet that across Africa, nobody has made money like me? How is he able to say that? It's because when you are with somebody in a car in the United States and he puts on his radio, he doesn't change to Africa channel. The mainstream United States channel, you begin to hear Burna Boy
I see.
and you begin to hear Davido. But you don't hear our people, right?
Right.
And our people have small labels, which puts them on Apple Music and they're happy. It's not enough.
I see.
When you are on Universal and so on and so forth, they have a marketing budget behind you.
Wow.
Artists cannot take them on. The only person who's been able to take on Universal was Michael Jackson. And let me not get your YouTube channel
He had
into
money.
Well, I was about to say
He
something
was
that might have
everywhere.
gotten your program into trouble. But I was about to say, but he died. A mysterious death.
Oh.
So sometimes you don't want to take on certain,
Yeah,
big entities like that. But,
Right.
when the distribution machine that those people control, those things descend from the founding pillars of capitalism. These are the basis on which the Emperor Nero and all of this wealth was put together to create these companies.
Oh dear.
Multinational corporation is a vessel of many atrocities. I tell you, I've been almost all my life around multinational corporations, and I tell you, when I started, I'm digressing, but let me just land there. But
Alright.
when I started, I also did a training course in human rights. Can you imagine?
Oh, okay.
For 2 months, I was at the Institute of Social Studies in The Hague.
Okay.
And over there, we sat with Oxfam people, the Red Cross, Greenpeace, activists. And we bashed multinational corporations every day.
Oh.
Because at that time, Kofi Annan said in his time that 80% of the flow of money in the world is the transactions of multinational corporations. So we used to say, what is wrong with these people? Because, of course, when you look at our own country, Nico Abnaboni, oh, you haven't learned the independence story. Positive action. Should I tell you the independence story?
Maybe another time.
Another time. But multinational corporations are what can get our artists, our creative content, and so on and so forth into the global distribution channel.
Wow.
And if you don't know how to use them, you suffer. So you end up provoking a Nigerian artist so that he quarrels with you so you can trend.
Oh dear.
You know what I'm talking about.
Best.
But that's what it is. I mean, if I could say so, I do want to just So we need to be in those fields. If a young person came to me, to your question, I'll ask the person, what do you like to do? You like law?
Okay.
Make sure you understand content law.
Wow.
Yes. Make sure you understand the contracts of software, the patenting, the trademarking, the copywriting. Make sure you understand these things. Because you go to the big legal entities in the world, and many of them in the country, and many of them don't process these things well. And it's a problem. You like psychology. Make sure you understand artificial intelligence.
Right.
Make sure you understand that we are moving from a domain of ideas that were controlled by Plato and so on and so forth into a domain of physicalism, where you are talking about neurons triggering synapses,
Right.
which can be mimicked by computer programs. So it does not diminish the great philosopher kings.
Right.
It adds to them. What you are saying is that the actual thinking, the actual conceptualization can only be done by the philosopher kings. But when you drop it down, you can program it. And many things that today are consultations will be tomorrow robotics.
That's true.
Exactly. So we can do many things. Every field matters. But you have to digitalize it. You know the problem of Ghana?
No, do tell us.
There's no digitalization in government.
Oh, okay.
You think there is?
Yeah, to some extent. Am I wrong?
Because you filled your passport form online.
You were goading me to say that. So am I wrong?
I mean, it's not enough.
I'm the average Ghanaian, so
But it's
so
not
is
enough.
the average Ghanaian wrong if they think that?
That you fill the passport form online, and that makes you one of the great. That will give us a Tesla.
Yeah, that made things easy for me. So Ghana is digital.
We are not there yet.
Hey.
We are not there yet. Look, I mean, I could sit down and pat myself on the back, right?
Right.
I could say we've done great things. What is bigger than mobile money today?
At the moment in Ghana,
So we could sit down and say, well, we've done great things.
we've gotten somewhere.
But we haven't
can
done
go
anything.
further.
We have not done anything. This country must be modest. We have done nothing. When it comes to is there a patent from Ghana? No. I hear some people sometimes on YouTube saying look, I wish I could Google the patent and see it. When you Google Uber patent, you see 271 patents. You can download them and you can read them. This Ghana thing, when you Google the thing, then it comes on Ghana Web. Why is it not going on the patent registry site? It's always going to some news site. And
Wow.
yeah, so you see it there. The navigation of Uber is patented. So you can't just go and copy it.
Right.
If they are able to prove that what you did was a copy of Uber, you will pay.
You'll be sued, yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we have work to do, and we have to get it right.
Right.
The thinking of all great institutions, from Timbuktu till now, it was universities who were doing the thinking. Now what are we doing in the universities? You take money to a university and you say you want research to be done, and people do not want to take the money.
Oh dear.
But those same people will appear on Newsfile debating non-academics. Why do the principalities of academia and thinking want to spar with non-academics, right? The giant colossus does not go after a mere minion. You have to be at a certain gravitas to be able to make a contribution in these matters.
Right.
So you ask me a simple question, and look where I am. But all I'm saying
You're a
is
lecturer.
that,
You can't be
well,
at fault. It's
for
fine.
only 1 year I was a lecturer.
Oh.
But the truth is that the young person who comes to me, and I tell this to my children all the time, I'm not going to change what you want to be. That's very important. My father was, like I told you, J. Kwesi Nsako. He's a
Right.
professor of local government management, public sector management, political science, many things.
Yes.
My mother was Abna Joanna,
Right.
first head of the University of Ghana Home Science Department,
Right.
what is today Consumer Affairs.
Right.
She taught nutrition across here, went into University of Guelph to do research,
Right.
studied in Penn State, studied in Cornell. She's done many things. I could have probably said that these people steered me to become a chemical engineer, but it's not true. My father asked me when I was going into chemical engineering, what is chemical engineering? And I said, oh, I don't know, I was doing it. My brother was doing it.
Okay.
I wanted to be a pharmacist. And I didn't even know that it was for biology students at the time. Because I heard of some guy in Achimota who did maths, who they said was in
Pharmacy.
but apparently they had changed the rules, I didn't know.
Okay.
So I loved chemistry. So when I didn't get pharmacy, I just said, oh, chemical engineering. I didn't go because I was there, but
Okay.
I said, well, the only thing I can think of that has chemistry is
It's
chemical
chemical
engineering.
engineering.
I got in and I nearly died. The chemistry wasn't coming, other things were coming towards me. It was a problem. But that's a story that has been told many times.
Right.
But the point is that I will not ask a young person to go and do this program for me. No. I will try to find out from a young person what is on the heart of the young person to do.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you, when you've said what you want to do, I'll tell you that. Then inquire into the things that matter for the movement of the universe. Because it's not an option for a Ghanaian to say you are also running at the same speed as a European. No. You saw Kofi Annan when he was United Nations Secretary General. All the wars in Africa stopped. From Eritrea to Angola to Rwanda to DRC to Sierra Leone. In fact, the United Nations deployment in Congo became the biggest ever deployment in the world to stop that war.
Wow.
The man stopped everything because he was working night and day. And I listened to his interview when he ended his tenure, and he said, they asked him, what must his successor do? And he said he should do it his way, and I did it my way. It was 2 lines he used to answer. When Obama became president of America, people have what they say about Obama. Some of it is right, but I tell you what, for one man to take on the medical insurance lobby, that was one of the biggest mafias of America. But he did the Obamacare, and they still call it Obamacare.
Yes.
And then he took on Wall Street. Can you imagine? Wall Street was the financial beast of the world.
Yes.
And he dissed them. He told them that they messed up in the financial crisis. He will fix it, but they will never have that power again. And to this day, they don't have it.
Right.
And then he took on the defense industry. One man. He said he will not declare war. You know what it means to America when they don't go to war? Hey, people can't sleep.
Yes.
He took on all of these things. He took on U.S. foreign policy. And so at the end of the day, it is not an option for an African to run at the same speed. Usain Bolt runs faster than all the rest.
Yes.
Because it's not an option to run at the same speed.
Yes. I see. Do what you want to do, but eventually make sure you
You connect.
digitize it.
You connect.
Wow.
You connect.
All right, sir, what are your views on the KNUST Endowment Fund?
Well, it's an opportunity for all of us to give back.
Right.
So whenever the mechanics are available, it would be good for alumni to avail themselves of the opportunity to give back.
Okay.
There are many ways of giving back. The endowment fund prescribes some mechanics. We can also be ingenious and find other ways of giving back.
Right. All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Nsako, please, what are your fondest memories of being in KNUST?
First of all, in my time it was UST.
Yeah, right.
But
UST.
it would have to be around Katanga and the hall that I was in.
Okay.
Because Katanga ruled as a youth movement under military rule.
Right.
It was a little hub of a lot of innovation and a lot of courage.
Okay.
So in my time there, we made many resolutions, but one of them was that nobody would die
Okay.
and nobody would be arrested.
Wow.
Because before us was the era of Arthur Kennedy, Kofi Kakraba, Cromwell. There were people who had left their education
Right.
because the military was after them.
Right.
And we said that would not happen again. So, when they ended the Second World War, they said, never again shall nations confront one another in war. So
Right.
this was another of those resolutions where we said, nobody would die, nobody would be arrested.
Okay.
So we had to think how we could deal with the military without dying or being arrested.
Or being arrested.
So Aluta 1992 was crafted around those pillars. We came to school, the games rooms had students sleeping in them, can you imagine? And suddenly Katanga was congested, which was not a phenomenon we were familiar with.
Yeah.
So we marched to the Vice Chancellor's house with the overflow of the freshers, and we seized this guest house and gave them beds, gave them fridges, gave them everything that they needed, and asked them to be comfortable. But a few days later, they found their way back. It was really like their friends were in the main hall, so going all the way to the guest house was too much, and then they found their way back. And that was when we had a more serious meeting.
Okay.
And we said the formal admission of students was the matriculation.
Yes.
And that matriculation must be deferred until this issue is resolved.
Yes. Okay.
But again, we will not disrupt it. We are just boycotting it. So the students must not attend. But all these lesser halls, they could not organize a boycott. Only Katanga could organize the boycott.
Katanga.
Because, so we woke up and we heard that students were in the Great Hall, etc., 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 and the ceremony was about to take place. And a group of masked individuals then disrupted the matriculation ceremony, which was the beginning of a campaign that led to the closure of the university multiple times. Because by the regulations of the university, if there was a boycott of lectures for 5 days, it needed to be closed down.
Wow.
And between December 1991 and I think maybe May or June 1992, there were no lectures. It was,
Wow.
the school is reopened, we come, there's a lecture boycott, and then it has to be closed down, and then we go. But the final, you asked about favorite memories,
Right.
was getting towards the end of that campaign. We decided that it was wrong that the school had been now, the army and the police had been mobilized into the school. So on our regular student rounds, we were encountering people with bayonets and so on and so forth. So we said, well, we have to confront the bayonets then, because this is our campus. We said we will not die, we will not be arrested. And therefore, we've always stayed on our campus. We don't go and block the Accra Kumasi Road. We don't go and, now on our campus, the people are here.
Right.
So there was mobilization that led to quite a number of students spending the night on the concrete of the Katanga compound in the courtyard, because the aim was to start at dawn. So by 5 a.m., there was a lot of thumping of the ground. And,
I see.
And a lot of footwork was going on that was beginning to rev up the energy that was going to create a campaign. And it's a Wojiji and Yedi Moja Begu from there. I don't know if you've heard those songs before, but it was very important that the military would know that we were intellectually above intimidation.
Okay.
You could not kill us.
Right.
So that day at the Pajo Stadium, we used the principles of law that the military cannot, or the police cannot fire on us unless provoked.
Right.
And interestingly, they threw tear gas,
Oh.
but the wind changed direction, and the tear gas dispersed
Are
them.
you serious?
I'm telling you, we saw Moses before the burning
interesting.
bush. We saw miracles in real time. But when the wind chased them away, when the tear gas chased them away, we gave them water. We gave them buckets to put their faces in.
That is
So
nice.
they could. No, it was not. It was not.
Yes.
There was no hostility.
Right.
And this campaign lasted like half a day, until two idiots, and up to today we don't know who they were, but they came and they were throwing stones. And before we could hold them and get them to order, it had led to the firing of warning shots and so on. So we ourselves asked the crowds to disperse because nobody must be arrested, nobody must die. And those were the principles that we were going by. So those are the memories that, but I believe that is what created, today we sit down and we bask in new hostels in Legon, new hostels in whatever. But that campaign was what started the process. Because, under the Jerry Rawlings government of those days, there was no listening process. Right? 1992, this was military rule. People were, in fact, God rest the soul of Lawyer Emir. He was president of the Bar Association, I think, around that time. Kumasi is the only place where you can stop a taxi and say, Famiko Lawyer Emir face. So we took a taxi to his house. We just stopped the taxi and said, we want to see Lawyer Emir because this is our only salvation. And the driver drove us straight to his gate. And when we got there, we told him that some of our colleagues have been summoned to the regional police headquarters for crimes they did not commit.
Right.
People, during these things, the people who speak are not the violent people. So some people had done some distraction at the registry, the office of the vice chancellor. It was not those people. But then they had been summoned to regional police headquarters. And that day we went to Emir, and Emir said, no, he does not understand why this must happen. But nobody must go to the police. The police have a duty to tell you why they picked you up.
Yes.
So two of us were assigned to go with the people because we were not summoned.
Okay.
And when we got there, we told the police that, first we went to the vice chancellor, the late Professor Kwame, and we said to him that, hey, this is what the lawyer says. So sit down and for all these 30 people, write a guarantee that you release them and that the reasons were unknown to you.
Wow.
Hey. He had to write each of them. We put one on the notice board of the school to inform the school that this is where we are going. If we don't come back, know what happened. And I tell you, that thing turned into a party.
That was smart.
Because by the time we got to police headquarters, there was fried rice, there was Fanta, there was... Look, the thing was now a big conversation because they had to make sure that these people are comfortable.
Yes.
And then we came back to campus. So Katanga we don't speak about often because the ability of people to take it lightly offends me. The things that we went through at that time are not things that we toy with.
Right.
So I have people, Magbuk Manemisa and so on, they come here and we sit down and we talk about Katanga. But in public places, we don't talk about it. How many times have you seen that some of us are on social media or something talking about it? This thing I'm telling you was called the Battle of Menshia. That's what we christened it. But we don't talk about Battle of Menshia in public.
I see.
Because jokers will start claiming it.
Yes.
Yeah, I also did this, I also did that, I also did that. They don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
So there are few people who know, or teammates, there are certain people, Adafi, there are few people who know. Adafi was our choir master, right? And he, at that time, made it possible that we could at least echo what we were saying. Yaba UST, Yenya Baby Nda, those were his songs. Yako Kanya VCC, Nibuefu. So we were echoing the message. Then you sing, be say your mouth way big pass one mouth. It was like you cannot just be beating us all the time.
Right.
But it was about a place to sleep, basically. That's what we were saying. And there are many people today that I don't regard in any high esteem anymore because I lost respect for them at that time in 1992. And they know, and I know. It's 30 years ago, but the chips are where they are.
Yeah.
So if you ask me what were the high moments of tech, those were some of the high moments. Of course, there were lighter moments, when Roger Miller scored the goals and so on.
Right.
yeah. Those were also good occasions. Yeah.
I see. Wow. Were you an introvert in school, an extrovert? What were your interests in school?
I have never been an introvert.
My sources tell me that you were editor-in-chief at some point
of the Cat Tribune. Yeah.
That is
I
true.
was editor-in-chief of the Cat Tribune.
I see.
I wrote many interesting editorials. But, I remember the letter to the Free Press, right? Because I think the words were, once more in the history of oppressed people, injustice has reared its ugly head. And in a sad repetition of calamitous fate, the student movement has been its victim. Then
what were you talking about?
The shooting of Ida Ofori in Legon. It was a difficult one.
A student?
Yes. So that was a difficult one for me to process, because You know, there were in those days, you know, goons. We used to call them goons. You know, agents of the regime. You know, you would hear that
Right.
a team led by Walankaki had come onto campus,
Right.
or a team led by Jack Bebley was on campus, and so on and so forth. And Legon was visited by such a team. And as the students tried to escape, guns were fired, and
Oh.
Vidofori fell. She survived, like I said.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the anthem of UST is an interesting one. I think it's a former Negro spiritual, or it is a Negro spiritual. And I had it printed on my wall, and I put a picture of Vidofori behind it.
Wow.
So, God of our weary years, God of our silent years, thou hast brought us thus far on our way. I had that one. That was the third verse of the song, and I had Vidofori behind it. So, when I wrote that letter to the Free Press, I was my heart was very heavy, and I was hoping that something would happen, but nothing happened. And that's why I'm saying that, you know, this nation has gone full circle.
Right.
The people we appealed to in opposition at that time are in government today.
Wow.
Those days we thought we were together fighting the military. Now there's something that Franz Fanon wrote about, double alienation. When they take your chief from you, that's the first alienation. When they bring him back, they've changed him. And that's the second alienation. You are the only one who's lost.
Profound.
We have suffered double alienation. We've been betrayed. And we don't understand it anymore as to what it was about. So all I can appeal to is that Ghana, we must create a private sector.
Right.
When I lived in the Netherlands, it was not important who ruled the government. I knew the parties, the CSGA, the VVD, the PVDA, I knew them.
Okay.
Who was left wing, who was right wing, I understood it.
Right.
But it was not important, because a lot of the time there was a coalition government anyway, and there were different people, including the Green Party and so on and so forth, who were there.
Okay.
When I entered the Netherlands in 2002, the Queen of Holland had said that the coalition had taken too long,
Okay.
and therefore she's appointing a caretaker and withdrawing the power to declare war. All other powers of government were granted to that caretaker for 1 year, so that government could go on. Parties were not important. But what was important in Holland was Shell, Unilever, Philips of Eindhoven, Heineken, where I worked.
Okay.
These kinds of organizations, the Rotterdam Harbour, the Schiphol Airport, these kinds of organizations were the ones that were important. Campina, you know, many of these Dutch businesses, when they declare their consolidated profit worldwide, the budget of the Netherlands balances. The rest will be given to NAFIC and some of these organizations to go out through the world and create expatriate jobs for Netherlands. We are not charities.
Oh.
Look, I'm telling you, these organizations that we call donors, they are not charities. What they are doing is they are creating a networking platform to make sure that if President Macron steps out of his country today, anywhere in the world where he lands his plane, the president must be on speed dial.
Wow.
His ministers must be on speed dial. There must be people on the ground who know where your is sold. It's a cultural revolution that is going on. They vote budgets for these things so that money is given and innovation is started from me and you. That's why I'm saying that that guy who's saying intellectual property is for developed countries. I don't want to say fire don't burn, but some of these things are very important for you to guard yourself,
Yes.
guard your flanks, prevent these things from happening. And those organizations are the ones that I'm saying, the private sector organizations are the ones that I'm saying were the bastions of the European nations.
Okay.
I started by saying that historically, the wealth that those people amassed into those organizations might never happen again.
Okay.
Because these were organizations that after they the world started from, the Roman Empire was not the first empire. There were, the Persians, there were the Greeks, there was Africa, right? There was the Arabian, there's a lot of stuff that has gone on. Now, the order of those empires, you have to ask a historian. I'm not too sure, but
Right.
I know that at least there was Persians, there was Ottoman, there was Greek, there was Roman, and I think in between there somewhere around 6 BC, somewhere there, the Arabians were also there from Africa. Okay. Now those things, when it culminated in and don't get me wrong, I gave a disclaimer. The sequence, I'm not sure.
Right.
But when it got to the Crusades, the looting of the wealth of the Middle East and other holy places, banks were created to store that wealth. And multinational corporations were also born to expand that wealth.
I see.
So this process is not different from the process of bloodshed and slavery and colonialism and whatnot and whatnot. I've worked this theft, right? They paid my salaries and my school fees and everything. But I know it for what it is. A multinational corporation, na bastard. Right? But when you take it, you can make it work for something very good for your nation.
Okay.
These people have taken these things and they've made them work for their nation. After the Crusades came slavery, came colonialism, a lot of this wealth expanded. And now they've built innovation structures that are bigger than universities, that are bigger than everything else. We can't go and colonize anybody right now.
Right.
We can't go and do all these things again. So what we have is digital technology. Because in modern times, we've created also Google, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, and JD, Tencent, Alibaba on the other side. So those corporations are the ones that I'm saying that we put the platform into MTN. And when I went there was no platform.
Right.
We put it there. I promoted 30 people in the sales organization into managerial grades.
Right.
We expanded across the world. I put people between Afghanistan and Zambia. 17 people traveled outside my team. I brought Google here. I brought Facebook here. We did master classes for entrepreneurs. We created memoranda of understanding between the University of Ghana and ourselves. We brought Dartmouth University to be part of that process.
Oh, okay.
We have done it. Now we have to do it again
Right.
and make sure that the second one that we do, your side gig, my side gig, is part of it.
Okay.
Today, I spoke to the guys again at the bank, and I said, Microsoft must go to Ashesi. They must go to Legon after. We've started that process.
Okay.
The bank must pay the lecturers to take the training catalogs of these organizations and train the poultry farmers, train the vulcanizers, train whoever
Right.
on the business practices that can become great, that you can scale. When we do those things, we'll put employees of the bank into it as well, and they will learn that this economy is about agboglosi. It's not about Anglo Gold.
Wow. Very
So Daphne,
profound.
I can talk forever, but all I'm saying is that it's not working today.
Right.
And for it to work, we have to be more deliberate.
Right.
The things that we are doing are not methodical. They are not scientific. When your mind is blocked, you cannot do anything.
Right.
And you see, this is light, right? Some time ago, you know that Isaac Newton said light was particles? But guess what Einstein wrote later?
That I don't know.
He said, I feel sorry for Newton. Yeah. He said, mechanics has blocked the mind of the man.
Didn't know.
He said, mechanics had blocked Newton's mind.
Oh.
Because Newton had been so successful in mechanics. He had Newton's 3 laws of motion, his conventional wisdom of mechanics. Right?
Okay.
But he could not explain light. He said it was particles. Can you imagine? So they had to revoke the theories of Newton. Right?
Wow.
So we have to free the mind. That's what we have to do.
Right.
We can create anything. Cocoa is not our future. We put 250,000 people into the mobile money agent system. Each of those people, from, like I told you, from Agbogloshi to Zebila,
Right.
each of those people earns an average of 130 cedis a month. Try zero. That's what the South African deputy finance minister told me. I told him, but 130 is not enough.
Wow.
And he said, try zero. Go to Kalisha in South Africa. Go to Komatu in South Africa and see zero income. Then you will know that 130 is not a joke.
Okay.
Inside Accra here, I know people who earn 10,000 cedis of commissions every month as mobile money agents. When we say the average is 130, we've included Garo Timpani, we've included Sefri, we've included, even Sefri there's money there, but like we've included places where there are front planes and so on. There's, 5 cities a month. That's why the average is looking low.
I see.
People, 250,000 people. How many people are in the value chain of cocoa? By the Statistical Service census, it's 800,000.
I see.
In the 800,000, some of them, their job is to kill snakes. They don't get paid anything. They are just there. And you know cocoa say? How dare you about and cocoa say that? But those are the issues. Right?
Okay.
When we finished mobile money, we also eliminated the scratch card. The scratch card had probably 30 to 40,000 vendors across the country. People used to see them in traffic and say, oh, this is the job, this is the job. No, in place of that, we put 250,000 people again. What you see under the umbrellas, I gave them those umbrellas. I had a system under my, table where I could check where every umbrella was.
Okay.
I called a lady in Kolebu once. I said, "I'm not your bro umbrella." She said, "Oh, MTN friend me near G." But I could see it. That was another 250,000. But it was only 40 cedis a month. But try zero. The reason I don't add those two and say 250 plus 250 is that some of them are the same people. Okay. Some of them were doing, maybe 3 phones in the same place,
Right.
whatever. But even if it is 400,000, even if it is 350,000, I told Baumia this. He called us into Jubilee House and he said we should put corporate social investment behind the sustainable development goals. And I said, Your Excellency, is your target 100,000 jobs? And he said, yes. And I said, we have created in excess of 400,000. Are we looking or not? At that time, we had not done that. I'm talking about a few years ago. We had not done that. But I told him this is where we are heading. Okay. And now it's been done. It's over 400,000 jobs. It is more than the value chain of cocoa. It is more than all this galamsey and so on. These things are finite resources. How many riverbeds are you pollute? It's only the digital economy and renewable energy, which are infinite.
Mr. Nsako, thank you so much for giving us the time, and thank you for a very interesting conversation. We've learned so much, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And Bruno.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow. That was a very interesting conversation we just had with Mr. Eric Yao Nsako. More captains of industry to be interviewed right here on the Life School series. Stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed already, feel free to do so and share with somebody. This is Daphne signing out saying Nyansapo Usaneno Bajinima.